I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live.
Okay.
No. We'll do it live. F it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Hey, y'all, this is Ryan Monso, and this is the Talking About Them Cougars podcast from GoCoogs.com. Shout out to the 11-year-old that just followed us on Twitter, says he's class of 32, pro-style quarterback. Get back to us in 6 years. We got a fun show tonight. Steve Helwick from Underdog Dynasty, Martin Marroquin from Recruiting Plus. The former GoCoogs intern is alleged to be joining us, a late ad. Daniel Rodriguez and Kenneth Bowman from CoogTV and our new HOU3 series. Good, fun show. Star Pizza. Get you some Star Pizza. What in the hell are you doing with your life? You've got the... Okay, and there's this tent with Star Pizza on it right there.
And a human inside of it.
Yes. Get you some Star Pizza. Tomorrow, it's a holiday. Eat Star Pizza. Go get it. Also, shout out to Dave Campbell's Texas Football. We're a part of the network, the Dave Campbell's Texas Football, Republic of Football Podcasting Network. Brad, Section 12X.
Section 12X. Step wrong, you get punched in the face. Speaking of punching the face, they got some new stuff. They got a whole lot of stuff they've been selling. Hope everybody's grabbed some of it. Hope everybody, those who haven't yet, I hope you got a nice look at some of the people wearing it out and about this week. Got some stuff coming up tomorrow. I'm not going to say what it is, but keep your eyes peeled. Section 12X on Twitter. Keep an eye out for it because got some stuff coming tomorrow, 10 a.m.
Okay. Two idiots talking sports. We have endured now 4 days of bad football. It's just bad everywhere. As a whole, I just think that this weekend in college football is kind of a miss. You're just going to have it every year now with this transfer portal, with guys NIL. Brad, your thoughts? Anything good that you've seen?
Every year we know we see this. We've seen this every year that teams start slow. Some people are a little bit more on it than others. Usually the ones that are going to do well are the ones who are going to be returning more players in key positions. But these days, when you're looking at pretty much everybody across the board has 20 to 50, 60 transfers. I think U of H in the media guide, it said that U of H has 51 newcomers on this roster. But that's
53 last year. Yeah, so you've added 105 guys basically.
I mean, that's going to be the norm. And you hope that you can somehow string together, guys with multiple years or at least a couple of years experience coming back. But it's going to be hard to do, especially kind of where we are in the pecking order of things. We're going to lose guys. That's just the way it is. But you hope you can get a couple of years out of guys. before you do. And, that'd be nice. But football, I mean, we back when, look back at the opening in week 0, it was terrible. Games were terrible.
Awful.
Yesterday, there was a lot of sloppy play. It looked a little bit better at night. I don't know why, but some of the, there was a lot more blowouts. But I mean, Texas and Ohio State, neither one of them played well. I don't think LSU or Clemson played well. I thought Nussmeier looked pretty good, but everybody's going to be slow out of the gate, and offenses are going to be behind where they normally will be, where they will be later in the season, for one reason and one reason only: familiarity. It's about timing. Offense is going to click on timing, and these, you got so many new bodies all across football, everywhere. That's just a part of it. Defense, read and react. Just fly to the ball. Little bit easier, but once you start getting a little bit more familiar with things in these teams and these offenses, they're going to be better. I guarantee, as much as I like to make fun of it, Arch is not going to look that bad the rest of the year for Texas.
Okay, there you go. Bringing it right there. I think I saw that 86 starting quarterbacks across the country are new to their teams this year. 86 out of, I think, 133.
That's insane.
It's crazy. How do you even play that first week? I just, it is what it is. It's what it's going to be.
Well, and that means you got 86 players trying to get used to a new scheme. Need to get timing down with 4 to 9 receivers. That's asking a lot.
That is asking a lot. Brad's mom says, "Love the shirt, Star Pizza."
Thanks, Mom. Thanks for showing up. I appreciate it.
Yep. So pumped for the season, but sucks about Sanford's injury, though, for sure.
Truth.
Good guy. Hate to see it. As a whole, Miami just scored, so they're going to have a little fun. As a whole, I just haven't been that excited about anything I've seen. It's so hard to remember what happened Thursday and Friday, but watched 13 hours yesterday, which pretty rare for me now. I thought Texas was not as bad as people think.
All right, that catch for Miami was pretty spectacular.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and bring in a couple of guys. This is Steve Helwick, his first time with us from Underdog Dynasty.
Hi.
And there's Martin,
for having me on.
Another fella. Hello, Martin. Indoors. I like it.
Yeah.
So, guys, I think Joseph Duarte is going to join us, the former intern at GoCoogs, in just a minute. He's had a rough go of it health-wise. We'll see if he makes it. So just the two of you, U of H fans are freaking out over what they saw. A 27-0 win. What do you think about what you saw Thursday night? Steve?
Well, the defense did what it's supposed to do, and defense was the strength of the team last year, and Houston stayed in so many games it probably shouldn't have even stayed in just because of how good the defense was. So it's nice to see under a new coordinator in Austin Armstrong, new pieces all around the defense, especially in a revamped secondary, that Houston remains potent on that end. But that's what you expect to happen against an FCS team. You expect a shutout or maybe 3 points, maybe 6 points. You expect them to get under 200 yards of offense. So I thought Houston just lived up to the expectation there, and that was promising to see. But offensively, I completely understand the concern. You punted 7 times against an FCS team. You had 5 3-and-outs in that game. So I definitely understand any concerns about Houston's offense because this is a unit all Houston fans want to see make that leap this season. They finished second to last in scoring offense last year, finishing just 0.1 points per game above Kent State, which went 0-12. So Houston really needs to take that leap offensively this year, and I think getting 3 touchdowns in that game while not exhibiting the best offensive line play which Willie Fritz gave a C in his post-game press conference. I don't know if that was the most confident. It inspires a lot of confidence in Houston fans after their opener.
When you also consider that we've been spoiled with offense in the past. Even with our bad teams, our offense were great, and so everybody freaks out the minute the offense struggles. And by struggle, I mean 40 points and 400 yards.
Martin.
Yeah, I temper the concern about the offense for a bit. 80% of the starting offensive line just met a couple weeks ago, and the number one thing I would say with offensive line is continuity. So, if 10 games in, these guys start clicking, I think that's a good sign for it being a good group. But there are going to be struggles up front. I thought it was honestly promising. Connor Wegman has a pulse as a thrower relative to, they threw 9 touchdowns as a team last year.
9.
And the 3 touchdowns was the first time a quarterback threw 3 touchdowns since Donovan Smith did it at home against Texas in 2023. So, yeah, it wasn't like awe-inspiring. Nobody should win any awards for the offensive output. But, early Wegman made some attempts deep. I think there's going to be a healthy dose of Tanner Koziol and Amari Thomas over the middle the rest of the year. I think that's a trend that will continue. The offensive line having to figure it out, yeah, I mean, you want to see better. But like the 39-yard scramble that Wegman had was because of a miscalculation and miscommunication at the snap between him and the center. So specifically, I'd be worried about figuring out snap counts and when to snap the ball. Like that's one thing that shouldn't be an issue game one. The offensive line figuring out how to play together is going to be an issue. I'm more concerned about the run game going forward because it's not just that Ray is hurt, Rashawn Sanford. It's that he was the specific kind of back where if blocking breaks down, he can make something happen in the backfield. The rest of the guys are a little bit more straight line and are going to be more reliant on the offensive line doing their jobs. They're going to be able to make plays. Burnett is a bowling ball, so I think he ends up being the guy with the style that he provides, and he's probably going to be more consistent as a runner. But I'd be interested to see how the running game develops between now and the next couple of weeks.
Steve, I got a question for you.
Yes.
What did you see, did you see anything positive that maybe either you weren't expecting or that you think is going to be something to look forward to down the line for this Houston offense?
Well, I watch a lot of Ball State football, and Tanner Koziol, I knew the instant that he entered the portal and came to Houston after a brief stop at Wisconsin, that would be a huge get because he was 6th in the FBS in receptions last year with 94. He was a touchdown machine at Ball State, and he was basically Ball State's entire offense last year. When they're in those shootouts with Buffalo and Western Michigan, it was Tanner Koziol keeping them alive in games that Ball State probably shouldn't have been alive in. So his catch radius is incredible. You saw that on Connor Wegman's first touchdown of the night.
Yep.
And Tanner Koziol is just going to be a huge force for this offense this year. He's 6'7", 250 pounds. I can't think of a tight end Houston's had that I feel like in like recent memory that can have his offensive impact. And Houston's had some decent tight ends over the years. Christian Trahan's the one that comes to mind most. But just the offensive impact Tanner Koziol has, it would not shock me if he's number 1 in receptions and receiving yards at the end of the year. Just a really good mismatch that the offense can use at all times. And I thought he had a great opener, even though he got a little nicked up there, but it doesn't sound like it should be too concerning.
Martin, question for you.
All right,
how do we
Brad,
unlock Stephon Johnson?
Give us 1 second. I got to bring this poor guy in. Duarte's now in the stream, audio only. Duarte, are you there? Maybe he's not.
I'm here.
Ah, damn. What did you see in the opener? What did you like? What did you hate?
Yeah, first of all, defense. Hey, can we not highlight that photo? You made me do that silly skit, or whatever we were doing in Provo. But back to your question, first let's start with the defense. all the talk was offense this offseason, and rightfully so. How were they going to get better? What were they going to look like? And a lot of people were talking about the defense. You lose Shield Wood to Texas Tech. I think you only had 3 starters back. So, Martin was mentioning about how it was like on the offensive line, you got guys that hadn't played together for a long time. Well, you could say the same thing about a lot of key positions on the defense, especially in the secondary. I thought that they were around the ball a lot. I liked their aggressive. I wish they could catch the ball more on some of those picks that they had, because they could have probably had at least 2 or 3 more. But I thought first and foremost defense was for game 1 against an FCS. They did what they're supposed to do. They shut a team out, and they sort of imposed their will. Now on the other side of the ball, I'm not ready to sound the alarms or what kind of offense is this going to be again this year, because frankly, I'm not even sure if they showed as much. Maybe that's the thing. From week 1 where you got Rice and week 2, and then you got Colorado right after that. How much are you really going to show against an FCS opponent in week 1? So maybe if you look at the glass half full take, maybe they just held back a lot, and that's why you didn't see a lot. They threw the ball. I think they went deep the first play and maybe a couple more, but there wasn't that. Maybe that was by design. So I'm not ready to sort of sound any alarms. I thought based on what we saw Ryan last year, any points is good points, and they didn't have very many 27-point games last year. So from a outsider look at it, I'd say I'd take that for game 1.
SFA was never about beating SFA. It just never was. It was not about running it up. It was not about putting on a show. It was about figuring things out. Who works? Who can we get film on? They changed the offensive line every series. You slid your right guard to center. You brought in Agnello at right guard. They put Ndukwe in for a couple series. It was about figuring out who can work together and who can't. You had snap issues. You had a couple that were low and wide. You had the one that Martin mentioned earlier where Connor kind of made something out of it. But they're so unsettled there that it's hard to get upset about it. It was not great on the offensive line, but it was way better than it was last year. And having a competent quarterback is going to make a huge difference for this team. Go ahead, Brad.
I regret to inform everybody, I don't think we held anything back. I think that's Willie ball. I mean, I watched him at Tulane, and yeah, he runs a very basic, very direct offense. That's not going to be. It's not always going to be pretty, but he's going to play. He's going to play it pretty close to the vest most of the time until guys can truly make plays. Once you start showing you can do the core things really, really well, then that gives you the opportunity that he'll give you the opportunity to do a little bit more. But outside of that, I mean, that's just the way it's going to be. So I think we gave him what we would normally give him. I mean, I think you'll see the exact same thing against Rice.
You don't think Willie has run this vanilla basic offense for his entire career because he's always had less talent?
Do what?
He's had less talent than everybody he's played for 20 years.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't he do basic things and try to win the game in the margins? Now he's getting better talent. He's still not to the point of everybody else in this league.
We're nowhere close.
No, and that's fine. But you got to build. To all of you, who impressed you? Steve?
Koziol was one name that I already threw out.
Okay, not Koziol. Let's do something else. That we all know that one.
That really, but I would say Jalen Garner on defense was somebody. I mean, he had a career high in tackles. He was somebody that was getting in the backfield. I thought was a really impressive part of the defense because you look at the linebacking talent that they lost from a year ago with Jamal Morris and then Michael Batten. Michael Batten was just a do everything guy. So Jalen Garner really stepping up in that place and showing that he can be a lead linebacker on this team, I thought was really impressive for him.
Martin?
Will James had a big game. I think just Duarte mentioned they were dropping interceptions. I think he had 2 that if he got secured, he could have walked back, but he was making a lot of plays on the perimeter, tackling. Sophomore transfer from Southern Mississippi corner. He stood out. I mean, not to belabor the Wigman point, but his ability to make something when there wasn't pass blocking. The touchdown he threw to Burnett in the flat, he had to scramble out and, extend the play a little bit. I think that's a great sign for an offensive line that's still figuring it out. Your quarterback can make something happen when he doesn't have a clean pocket.
Intern.
Yeah, I'll split my vote. I liked just based off of the hit of the game. I thought Latravian McCutcheon. I mean, he just leveled that one guy, and we heard about him in camp about what they thought he could do this year from that sort of that jack position, and then I like what Fat Burnett did. I mean, it was kind of here and there, but the one touchdown was pretty impressive. The way he could have been dropped there at the 20 or at least pushed out of bounds, but he made that nice move and ended up having a his first career touchdown.
Yeah, for sure. A question to all of you. What was your biggest surprise of the weekend, if any? And this can go outside of U of H. Duarte, I'm sorry about your guy Arch. Maybe y'all will pick it up next time.
Well, I can start with this one, and I'm going to go South Florida Bulls defense. South Florida has been a program really they've been able to pile on the points, but what they did to Boise State from a defensive standpoint was really impressive. Their linebacking core, Mac Harris, Jalen Schuler, they even got Rocco Nickel from Kent State. Really good linebacking core that I think can be a veteran unit that looks really good in the American this year. So I think South Florida is one of those teams that you have to at least put on the radar for a playoff spot because the American had a really good weekend. UTSA fought Texas A&M for 3 quarters. Tulane absolutely demolished Northwestern. Outside of Army's horrendous loss, the conference looked pretty good, and it looked like a league that's ready for one of those 5 automatic conference championship bids this year.
I'm going to stay in the Sunshine State, Florida State. And maybe that's just Bama was bad, but that one to me was a shocker to see kind of the egg that Alabama laid in that game.
Okay.
Or maybe they were just overhyped, which might be the case.
I was surprised to see Kansas State struggle again. And it might be a sign for teams to not go to Ireland to start your season. But I think Avery Johnson's an immense talent. And he's played well, he's put up numbers, but it's that program struggling the way that they have in back-to-back games is surprising. Just because they were, a mainstay for so long with consistency. So it's surprising. It's interesting, especially being in the conference. So we'll see how they turn it around.
See, I think the Kansas State to Ireland point is valid, but then Iowa State went over and won and then came back and played pretty damn well against that South Dakota team that a lot of people thought would, perhaps hang with them. So, you can do it, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Another lesson is probably
forward.
just to stay away from the Dakotas, but
That probably could work.
Hey, also Utah looked really good, and UCLA is just UCLA. I don't know what's the deal there, but yeah, Utah looked really good. I thought.
Can you imagine spending $3 million on a quarterback?
Yeah, I was gonna say, how did I'm a Believer go? How did he do?
Not great. Didn't stay up for that one, but
Utah looks like full Big 12 contender. That offensive line is scary. They're just bowling people. I compared them to like 2010s Wisconsin is what their offensive line looked like. There was just one spot, 4th and goal probably 2-yard line in, I think, the third quarter, where it was just the most obvious touchdown ever with a Devon Dampier QB keeper. And Utah's offensive line, which has a future top 10 pick on them, is just dominant. And that's a unit now that they have a new offensive coordinator. They have a quarterback that's dual threat. They're right back in the Big 12 mix now that they have that offense solved.
Okay. But still week 1. They could be terrible next week. It's just how it goes. So, Steve, tell me about the gun choice offense at Rice.
What?
It's fun. It's unique. It's something Rice has needed something fun on offense for such a long time. They've consistently had low scoring outputs, consistently struggle with turnovers. And you hire Scott Abel, who led the FCS's top rushing attack at Davidson last year. And he had a high-powered offense that didn't commit many penalties, didn't commit many turnovers, and he's going to bring that to Rice and try to instill that level of discipline in them and have some explosiveness in the offense. Now, they only scored 14 first-half points in their first game against Louisiana, but there were some moments there. I think Aaron Turner's touchdown was one highlight that made its way to the timeline. And there's just a lot of motions, a lot of eye candy. You'll usually have one wide receiver kind of faking a jet sweep on every single play. It's like preparing for Army or preparing for Navy, except more in the shotgun. I would say a lot of it's similar to what Jamie Chadwell runs at Liberty, except there's not as much passing, not as much deep ball. I don't know if Rice is prepared for that. They only threw 9 passes in that first game, most of them short throws, completed 7 of them for 45 yards. But this team can run, and they like to have a lot of different running choices on each play. Quentin Jackson had 119 yards in the opener. Dalen Alexander had 74. They had over 200 yards total rushing on Louisiana's defense. So I think that this is going to be something that needs to take time to build, just like you mentioned Houston's offense earlier, because some of the offensive line blocking, there were some miscommunications. There's a lot of slides, a lot of pulls. The guards are doing different things that they weren't doing in previous offenses, and they kept a lot of the same offensive line talent in-house. So I do think that there is time for this thing to gel, but promising start to beat the reigning Sun Belt West champion.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that goes into a second week. Once you have some film on you, that misdirection, that frankly bullshit offense, can that work? And I guess we'll have to see.
It's all about angles.
Yeah. Martin, question for you. Did anybody, a Houston commit or somebody that's a deep target, stand out this weekend for you?
The McCarty kid at Cy Falls, he's not a commit. He's in the 27 class, Caden McCarty, but he was at the game. He's probably the most high-profile non-commit that visited. He also went to A&M's game, so it's not going to be an easy get for the Cougs, but he's a good player. He's got a lot of time to develop. Yeah, he's a local kid in the Cy-Fair district, so it'd be nice to continue to keep that talent home. And of course, Keyshawn had a 99-yard touchdown, so that was pretty cool.
That was pretty impressive. Jaden Warren was at the U of H game Thursday night. There was a kid named Denham Barnes. I don't know a thing about him.
Sign him.
Yeah, right? Sign him.
He's forever
That's gonna make
emoji.
it easy. Yep. Duarte, what are you looking for this week in practice and coming up this week against Rice?
Practice-wise, I guess immediate, sort of how's Koziel. It didn't sound like it was anything serious. Also, I guess now that this will probably, I guess the timeline, do we know the timeline on Rashawn? I guess when he got hurt, this is obviously, I guess, their first week that they've really going in where they don't maybe have him available, where they're practicing, where we kind of see how they're going to attack things, not having him back there. But I mean, running back to me would be something to keep an eye on, just because to see how they're going to get divvy up those carries, because Willie did say at some point he wanted somebody to be the bell cow. It looks like that guy's Connors, but I wouldn't dismiss a guy like Burnett right now, and just based off of what he did. But those are a couple of things that I'd be looking for just on that side of the ball this week.
Yeah, so Rashawn did not practice Monday of last week. They were off Friday, so the injury had to happen Saturday or Sunday. That's Monday's the only day we got to see this week, but he was out there. He was watching practice, but did not participate. So it happened over the weekend. Kojal is interesting to me, but I'm going to tell you, do not count out Stacy Sneed. They put him so far down the depth chart, and he always finds a way to get back. 6-year, you always are going to see something from him, especially in the passing game. I think if they get him out, he's going to do some things and will help the run game and the passing game, frankly.
To piggyback off of that run, Snead's a fascinating story. Based off of the time he's been there. They were set to run him off. He was literally in the coach's office, and they were telling him, "Look, if you need to decide, you in on this or you out." And they pretty much, I know Dana and his crew got a bad rap for some stuff, but they put it to this guy and said, "Hey, you're gonna have to make a decision," and he took it to heart, and he ended up, he's been. That's a long time to be in school, but he sort of carved out, a little niche for himself on how they use him, and like you said, he has a chance to maybe expand that role now that they're shorthanded in the backfield.
Yeah. Something I saw earlier today that just kind of interested me. Last year, the most plays you ran in a game was 65, which is terrible. You ran 73 against SFA. Obviously, FCS school, but the ability to get more possessions, to run more plays, that's going to help. So what else do we have for you? Somebody says Joseph Duarte, the legend. I'm assuming that's Duarte texting from a second account. I agree with the intern. Yeah, I agree with the intern. Fat looked very good on his touchdown play. He has some talent in space, not just a battering ram up the middle. It'll be interesting to see if they use him more in different ways. Instead
Apollo,
of
let's get something straight, since Apollo just asked that question. The intern has got a lawsuit going for what is unfair or the way that you let me go. I've got a problem with that. And there's going to be some litigation. Towns isn't safe either, so that little giggle that he has right there, he's part of this Sunday night crew. So the intern did not like the way that he was let go, and he's going to fight that as long as he needs to.
That's adorable.
We might have to discuss a settlement.
Yeah.
Star Pizza, maybe.
Star Pizza in your future.
There we go.
Yeah. All right, guys. We appreciate it. Thank you all for joining us, Steve. Appreciate you having on. Martin, thanks always. And Duarte, good job.
Enjoyed it, fellas. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Oh, I thought Duarte would never shut up. Anyways.
I love Duarte.
I do too.
He's a good feller.
He makes life interesting. So let's catch up on some comments before we go into the second part of the show.
All right.
Let's see. The offense was embarrassingly bad. If our wide receivers can't get separation against a bunch of Amazon drivers, God help us. Amazon drivers that's gonna sting for a bit. I don't disagree with the receivers, but the offense was just what it is. It's the first game of the year. You're not seeing great offenses against FBS opponents really from anybody. So, okay, I get it, but
honestly, obviously that. I don't know. It seems strange to me. We get excited about the defense, think the defense, played well, and then you get the reply, "Oh, it's an FCS school. Of course they played well." So okay, the offense didn't play well, but if they did, it would just be, well, of course it's an FCS school. Of course they played well. I don't care. I think one thing I learned last year with Willie's with Willie's teams is that what you do this week has no bearing on what happens next week, because anything can happen.
Okay.
You know, you can open up the season and just get American Mead right in front of everybody, and then go up and play OU to a one-score game the very next week. We had no business being in that game. Not after what we saw in the first week last year.
Yeah,
We had no business beating somebody like even Kansas State or Utah,
or
as bad as they
TCU.
were. I mean, I think we should be concerned, but you know, see a lot of people snapping ankles, jumping off the bandwagon, thinking, "Oh, season's over. It's done."
And you saw a great improvement in that team from week 1 to week 2 last year. Offense, maybe not so much, but you know, you held OU to really one touchdown. The muff punt that wasn't was, you know, kind of garbage. But
Yeah.
I don't see a big deal. Was anyone else concerned that Willie said in the post game that lack of stamina was one of the issues with the O-line? So I think what this really means is that you don't practice 3 or 4 hours anymore. You practice an hour and a half now. So these guys have not experienced 3.5 hours in that heat and humidity. And it was hot. I was on the field for a long time. Daniel and Kenneth were down there with me. Duarte at some point too. Martin at some point too. It was hot. And it doesn't matter how much you hydrate. It takes a toll on you. I expect them to be a little better this week and a little better against Colorado. It's just one of those things that's going to happen, frankly. And if it's worse or just as bad this week, okay. And if it's as bad against Colorado, then yeah, you've got a real issue. Need to negotiate some NIL for the intern. Yeah. All right.
I have to give him one of these Star Pizza. Make sure he pimps it.
Yeah. Well, we'll get him something. We'll make it work for him. Okay, let's move on. This one is going to be fun. So about a year ago, Kenneth Bowman started showing up at Willie's press conferences, and he was asking really good questions, like surprising questions. Like, you're a student. You're not supposed to ask good questions. You're supposed to ask terrible questions. I know I did.
And then get lit up by Kellen.
Well, get lit up by Kim Helton and Dana Dimmel and Art Briles and Kevin Sumlin. And yeah, Tom Pender's never lit me up. Good guy. So Kenneth shows up and is doing this great job. And then he and his friend and coworker at CoogTV, Daniel Rodriguez, really started doing the work in the Final Four run last year, the national title game run, and really impressed me and impressed a lot of people, frankly. And this year they've been at all the practices. They're just showing up and they're doing a good job. So we asked them to come join us for something, and it's called HOU 3. And these are short films we're going to put out 3 times a week, hopefully. And they're going to show you different sides of the football program, things you just don't see every day. Undercovered stories are uncovered. And Kenneth and Daniel are going to join us now. This is Daniel Rodriguez, and that's Kenneth Bowman. Daniel has a fantasy football draft at 11 and wanted to know if we were going to take 4 hours to do this.
So he's seen the show before then, obviously.
Yeah. So Daniel, we're going to get you out of here by 11 for that fantasy football draft. So guys, I just want y'all to start off telling me what you thought about SFA. Where do you think this team is and where it's going? Kenneth?
I mean, it was a good game. I mean, a win's a win at the end of the day. It's FCS team. I think we could just put up more than 27 points. I said 40, but 27-0, you come away with a shutout. There was some good moments. Connor Wigman, offensive line, receivers, Amari Thomas, Tanner. Just all around, I would say a good game. And then the defense, they did their thing, obviously, around allowing 0 points. And like you guys said earlier with the, drop interceptions and that stuff. But it was a lot of plays made and a good game from Houston and a shutout.
Daniel?
Well, I don't really want to sound like a broken record here, but defense was obviously the standout. Lots of missed opportunities with interceptions, but guys like Mark Stampley and CJ Douglas, they were able to kind of pick those off, cause a turnover on downs. Kojo was an obvious. Good to hear that he's fine and he'll be back next week. But Kojo was great on offense. I think a lot of guys that kind of went under the radar, Khalil Lafu, Zelmar Vetter, I thought they were big guys making big plays during the game, and I don't think they got a lot of publicity afterwards, but I just wanted to highlight those two guys specifically because they really impressed me.
Yeah, I think Mark Stampley and CJ Douglas are really good names to pull out because both had really good games. Maybe not seen as much as some of the others, but for sure. Kenneth, tell me about your interaction with Keyshawn Henderson Friday night and Michael Bishop.
Yeah, those are some cool guys, man. Mike Bishop, Keyshawn, I spoke with Michael Bishop before the game and, just to confirm things. Yeah, I'm trying to get you and Keyshawn after the game. And he was like, yeah, anything. So, we watched the game. Keyshawn had a really good game. He had like 6 touchdowns. I think he's like 439 yards, something like that. He had a pretty good game against Second Baptist. Literally the first play of the game, Keyshawn just threw it like 60 yards. It got called back because of a penalty. There was a lot of penalties on Legacy. But yeah, it was a cool interaction with them, just talking with them after the game. They seem, like real genuine and cool dudes.
So Kenneth's video came out today with Keyshawn and Mike Bishop. I want to play just a little part of it here, and then I want you to react to this.
With you, Keyshawn, I read somewhere you actually did not know of who Michael Bishop was, and he played for Coach Fitzpatrick. So what was that like when you found that out?
Nah, it was actually crazy because he didn't tell me until after I committed.
Yeah.
I think his goal was to just make me feel like that was a real connection. He didn't want to get in the way of anything and just kind of make sure that he wasn't trying to sway anything. Yes. So it was the best. It was a good feeling to see that he actually knew what was going on, but he just didn't say nothing. So his trust is just built better after that.
You obviously knew about this beforehand. I did not, but that's crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? About a coach specifically not trying to steer a guy to his former coach?
I mean, good and bad, because at the end of the day, I feel like Michael Bishop could have went and just told Keyshawn, yeah, just go and commit to U of H. I used to play there. I know the coach and all that. But I think, not doing that was a better thing for, Keyshawn kind of said it a little bit, that he kind of liked it better that the coach didn't tell him and allowed him to make his own decisions. So that kind of built trust between Keyshawn and Michael Bishop, just allowing Keyshawn to make his own decision. And I'm sure Michael Bishop would have been satisfied wherever he committed to, just because, that's his player, that's his guy. But I'm obviously he's happy that Keyshawn made the choice to go play for his former coach, Willie Fritz.
Yeah. Michael Bishop is a college football Hall of Famer. He was a runner-up for the Heisman in '98, I guess, to Ricky Williams. And for him to specifically just not tell him, hey, by the way, I played for this guy. It's so crazy to me that would happen. You know what else is crazy?
Go ahead.
An 11 p.m. start to a fantasy football draft. That's crazy. When this show ends in 5 minutes, I am asleep.
We're not doing the 24-hour sleep stream, Ryan.
No, we're not. We're gonna work on that.
You probably ought to go to his OnlyFans for that.
Yeah.
Yes, Monso's got OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.com/weirdfeet.
Hashtag broken toe.
Yeah. Daniel, what have you gotten out of attending so many practices, and who have you spoken to that's sort of surprised you?
Well, definitely, like you mentioned earlier, Kenneth was kind of the one that got the ball rolling on us going to practices. So I've definitely got to learn. I've got to expand my knowledge on the football team, because for the longest, I've just kind of been the guy behind the camera. Kenneth is really like, he's a real ball knower here. So just kind of getting my knowledge up to par with him, being able to, put names to faces with all these players. As far as people that I've spoken to, PJ Hall, he's really impressed me. I think he's doing great with that secondary, and I think he's got a really bright future down the line for sure.
Okay. What about you, Kenneth? Who has sort of surprised you, or who have you enjoyed interacting with?
Every time, or not every time, but a lot of times when I come through practice, I'll say what's up to Kencho Webb and Carlos Allen. I spoke to a few of the guys back at Media Day, Stephon Johnson, Makai Muse. It's just a kind of a group of cool dudes. Probably impressed me the most is I say probably Jay Gardner, the recruiting director. I talked to him a couple times at practice. He's a real chill, cool dude.
Okay. So I came to you about this HOU3 idea. Why would either of you sign on to do this?
You want to go first, Daniel?
Yeah, I can go ahead and go first. Honestly, probably I just wanted to step out of my comfort zone. Like I said before, I've really just been the guy behind the camera, so kind of just getting comfortable, putting my face out there, talking about ball. Just kind of, allowing people to know who I am, because I know some people know who I am through CoogTV, but just kind of putting a face to it,
Okay. Kenneth?
It's a couple of reasons. One of them is just to get reps in this whole sports media thing. I'm kind of just trying anything I can get into, trying to do whatever. I feel like before I've always said this is what I want to do, but I wasn't necessarily doing anything. So now it's just my time to just try everything. And also, knowing what GoCoogs as a platform is, knowing who Ryan is, he has a lot of connections within the athletics department. So I just see that as my opportunity. Why not, jump onto something great and try to create my own thing as well.
You did a good job reading that for me. I appreciate it.
No, that was off the dome, Ryan.
Oh, okay.
He's been going over his lines for a while.
Nah, it's all off the dome. We live. There's no script.
All
right. Daniel, where are you at in draft position, and where do you think you're going to go?
So funny enough, we did a combine to determine the draft order, and I came in first. So
what do you mean a combine?
So it was a couple of things. We had a 3-point competition. We ran a 40. What else did we do? We played this little flip cup game. I know we had a sports trivia. I'm pretty versatile. Yeah, I will say I surprised myself. I was expecting kind of be at the end of the pack, but I guess luck was in my favor these last few days doing the combine. But yeah, I'm going first, and I definitely plan on taking Jamar Chase.
Great choice.
LSU guy. All right. Well, Daniel, Kenneth, we appreciate it. We expect really good things from you coming up and all season. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And I'll be talking to you soon. Well, I'll see you at practice tomorrow, Daniel.
Yeah, I'll be
late
there.
draft and then at practice. I like it. Kenneth?
I will be there.
Awesome. Great. Kenneth, Bowman, Daniel Rodriguez, thank you all so much for joining us. And check them out. CoogTV. You can check them out each on Twitter or at CoogTV. They put a lot of good stuff out. They do interviews. Every day we have the access. So definitely look into their work. And with us at HOU3 on GoCoogs. Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Appreciate
guys.
it.
All right. That was fun. I don't think
doing
we've
good
ever
stuff,
had
man.
30 people on the podcast at one time. Yes, they are doing fantastic stuff.
I
They're
noticed
putting
just
in the
last-
effort.
I wasn't familiar with CoogTV, and then all of a sudden last year I just see them blowing up on Twitter. It's like, man, these guys are putting out some good stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
The more coverage U of H can get, the better. And I think it's great to see our students getting involved. I mean, because for me, it starts there. We've missed so many generations of stops and starts that the more we can grab our young students and keep them engaged and keep them involved, the better off we're going to be, because we got to make up for the lost decades. We had 20 years of apathy, and then then we do well for about 10 years and then we fall off, and we got to be able to grab them and make it, hopefully with the way, I was really impressed with the amount of students that were out the other night, and that was heartening to see. They've done a good job, and I think it showed a really nice carryover from the Final Four run. But the way I've always thought it should look, and see how it happens in other schools, is that students start showing up to games, not just because of the games, because their friends do it. And that's the social scene that comes. Yes. And then they keep coming back whenever they leave, because that's just what they do. And the more they keep coming back, the more that their weekends and their schedules get built around, tailgating and coming out and having a good time. And then, you do that long enough, it just becomes more and more a part of it. The next thing you know, they look up 20 years down the line and they're heavily involved and well invested. But it's just going to take a lot of time. Yeah.
And, it's been a priority for me to get young guys involved with us. Not only are they workhorses and mules and I can pay them very little, but, I want to involve them and get them seeing different ways and seeing what should be expected of them if this is what they want to do for a living or, even just for fun. And, we've had good luck.
When for young folks like that, it's weird to say that just because I'm old as shit, but I still feel like I'm 25 until I get up and walk and my knees start cracking. But it's so cool in this day and age that they don't have to go the traditional route that maybe was only available for us. Like when you were coming out and when I was coming out, if I wanted to get involved in it, I'd have to go write copy for the Astros and doing whatever menial job, basically cutting out articles probably. And you just got to go through that grind. Now you can step in and actually do the job. You might not be getting paid for it unless, you're hustling yourself, but you can actually do the job that you're trying to get. And you can build a portfolio doing that, whether it is reporting, editing, video work. I mean, there's just so much that can be done and be done individually that makes you prepared if and when that opportunity comes. And who knows, you might just do it really, really well on your own.
Yeah. And, when we have asked these guys to come work with us, we've said, look, I want you to do your best work with us. We're going to push you so that you can put things in your portfolio from us. Starnes did it with great features. He did one with Casey Beard. He did with the student managers. These guys are doing it. The intern did some of his best work on camera for us, and we appreciate that. And so I want to see this next generation. The Daily Cougar and student media was really important to me, and it still is. I still want to see them succeed, but that was such a vital part of my college years. And I want, the game is moved and it's online and it's doing video and it's doing different things. And what we're trying to do with this is get them these different kind of stories, get them out of their comfort zone, as Daniel said, and really, I really do want to help. And it's a weird thing to say, but it's something I really want. Going back to some comments. I like the
Waffle House itself.
I've probably owned more Waffle House shirts in my life than anyone has ever seen. But this is my favorite right now.
I would assume, given the clientele, that has to be like a baby shirt. I would assume that Waffle House has to have different sizes.
Yeah, it's from the Baby Gap is what it is. Good job there, Brad. UH needs young voices speaking to the younger audiences to grow the fan base 100%. And they need to go where those people are. And short video is there. And, opinion and things like that is there. But also there's still room for writing. And hopefully we can kind of keep that alive We got a crazy good future, and it's only going to get better. I love the student representation. Go Cougs. Despite the professionalism of college athletics, it's still about the students. 100% agree. The game has changed for us and for athletes, but you can still go and do quality stuff.
Well,
Professor Roy's class of podcast 101. Damn right.
I think you've got to really embrace students even more now, because what college football is and what college sports has become, it might be abhorrent to a lot of people that, with gray beards and, that are old. It might be abhorrent, and, it's not what college is about. It's about using free labor. But it's a new normal for these guys. They won't know any different. They won't remember a time when, students were just doing it for the love of the game or whatever bullshit we wanted to feed them. So to be able to embrace new students who don't have that sticking point of it's not the way it used to be. You've got to be able to start cultivating them now and lock them in now and let them grow with the program.
Yep. Star Pizza. Go get your Star Pizza. 3 locations. Buffet twice a week on Tuesdays and Fridays. Good Lord, you fucking Teletubby mother. Get you some Star Pizza. I mean, look what we're reduced to. He's just carrying around a pizza box like some weirdo. Is there pizza in it, or is it just a box?
Just a box.
Okay.
So it's from when we went to lunch the other day.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna probably put like some holes in it and some rope and wear it like a backpack or a purse.
Section 12X. They got a big reveal coming tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Check that out. Section12x.com and get everything you want.
Make sure you're all following them on Twitter.
For sure.
They're going to keep you in the loop. And when new stuff is going to be dropping, any kind of special deals, just like, we had he had the special deal going on for, quick shipping, guaranteed shipping before opening day.
Game. Yep. A lot of people commented how much they love those polos and hats. So definitely check out what they've got dropping tomorrow morning. Go get you a buffet or a show at the Ritz. Brad, neutral site games are going away in college football, and it couldn't happen any sooner.
Knock on wood. I don't know if they're going away, but they were fewer in abundance this year.
Right.
And it was
still doing a dozen of them in Atlanta, but
yeah. But I mean, when you've got Texas and Ohio State on campus, LSU and Clemson on campus, Battle of the Death Valley, whoever wins gets to take the sign home. The Catholics and the convicts sort of on campus, or whatever Miami calls home. At least it's at their home.
Yeah, sort of.
Well, I mean, they're not going back to that dump of the old Orange Bowl.
Well, they're certainly not, because it's not there. But
no,
yeah,
that's a Shanksville. Get stabbed in the ribs.
It was cool seeing the games on campus. LSU won on the road, so it can be done. Ohio State defended theirs. It looks like Miami might defend theirs. It's just what college football should be. And we all should thank Nick Saban for going after this a few years ago. And, he brought Alabama to Florida State. They signed a contract 4 years ago, and another great home and home, exactly what it should be. So
did Utah and UCLA play at Rose Bowl?
At the Rose Bowl. I mean, you wouldn't want to play anywhere else.
Well, I mean, you never know. But
Yeah.
it's nice to see the marquee matchups, not in some plastic off-site hellhole that is no fun for anyone. And I say that as, we're going to have LSU at NRG.
Yeah. And I'm okay with that. I think there's a few programs that it's justified to go off campus, and LSU's one of them.
Well,
And
they're not going to come to our place.
correct.
The only way you get them in Houston is to play at a place like that.
Right. But you don't have to go play Washington State at NRG. You don't have to go play Texas Tech at NRG.
Right.
Those games need to be at home. Shout out to Travis Bush and UTRGV winning their first ever game. Yeah. And then, of course, Pipes, he didn't get embarrassed in the opener like he did as OC here. Granted, they played a bad D2 team, not even FCS.
Hey, win's a win, right?
Win's a win. First ever game for the program. And, all right. They just showed Lou Holtz on TV, and I had to think for a little while, who is that elderly gentleman? But that was Lou Holtz.
Wow, he looks 200.
Yeah,
he looks great for a 200-year-old.
I mean, I thought he was 90 in 88 when they won the national title, and that's been almost 40 years. So 200 might not be too far off.
Yes, I agree.
Hey, people who can't speak properly have dignity as well. All right. Brad, thank you so much for helping us out today. Thank you to Steve Helwick, to Martin Marroquin, to GoCoogs intern, former GoCoogs intern, Joseph Duarte, and then Kenneth Bowman and Daniel Rodriguez from CoogTV and HOU3. The Two Idiots music sounds like it was used in a James Bond movie. It does have a little bit of a James Bond feel to it, but it sounds more like...
Well, I mean, it's one of those James Bond films that would be kind of off in the different section of the video store.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it. Thank you to our sponsors, Star Pizza, Section 12X, and the Ritz. We appreciate it. We'll see you after the game Saturday from Rice Stadium. Thanks so much for watching, and check us out all week at GoCoogs.com.